Okay, let's start with the basics. You have these 4 buttons here. This is the button that you will use to turn it on and off. This is the button that you will use to access the settings. And these are just arrow buttons. To turn it on, press and hold this button. It's on. You heard the beep. The LEDs lit up. Now, if you push the settings button once, you get this screen here. This is sort of your top screen. Notice that this is green, these are red. This is the one that's selected. To select different ones, you simply arrow through them. Now, the upper left is how you choose the function of the camera. Do you want video? Do you want a still picture? Timed pictures, bursts of pictures, that kind of thing. That is the global settings. I'll get into that in a bit. Basically, those are settings that affect all functions, whether you're doing video or pictures or what. Those are for specific settings. You go into here, if you, let's for example, you just want to change the settings for video, or you just want to change them for pictures. This lets you play back what you've taken right on the device using this screen. This button here, the button you use to get into here, you push it to get out. Now, the last thing is to turn it off. You must push and hold this button. If you just push it, you trigger the operation that this thing's programmed for. For example, it's programmed to do video, and I've just started a video. Note the countdown here. Note the flashing red light now. So push to stop. So a push operates the camera. A push and hold turns the camera off. So let's say I want to change the function of the camera. I push this button once. I'm into here. Notice that this is green. This is where you select the function. The on-off switch drills you in deeper. Now, the video camera icon is green. That shows its function. To choose different things, you use the 2 middle arrow buttons. For example, this is the plain old camera, and I've never done much with that. To select that setting, you push the on-off switch. Notice right now, before I select camera, the LED is green. If I select camera, now the LED is yellow. If I go in, select the function, this is for those time-lapse videos I make. Now notice, yellow, select, it is now purple. This is how you can tell which function you're on without having to look at the screen. It also shows different icons here. Those are harder to see. And again, you have to look at the screen. I go in, we take the last function. This is the photo burst one. I haven't done much of anything with this. Now the LED is turquoise. But this lets you take like about 10 shots a second for 1 second, if I'm reading this correctly. These things, I'll show you how to change them in a bit. So this is how you select which function you use. The function you will probably most often use is video. So we're back to there, turquoise, select, green. So those green, yellow, purple, and turquoise, those LEDs show what the camera is set to when the camera is not actually being operated. To operate the camera, for example, right now I'm in video mode. If I give this just a push, I have just started taking a video with this. You can see the counter here. Notice now we have a flashing red LED. Very handy for telling at a distance if the camera is operating or not. Stop it. Same way. And you've just taken a video. Okay, now we'll talk about global settings. Global settings, you go into this screen with this button here. This button always gets you into the first screen. From then on, it's usually this button that drills you down further. So in here, instead of selecting a function, we want to select global settings. That's that one, just the two gears. This button drills us down, and you can start to see all the different settings there are. I would not mess with too many of them. The ones I change are mic sensitivity. You can turn the mic off completely if you want. You can make it sensitive. One thing to keep in mind with this, the mic definitely records near sounds louder than far sounds. It doesn't even them out at all. This is the speaker volume. All those beeps that you're hearing right now, that's as loud as this thing will beep. You can make it beep quieter. You can turn off the beep. I like the beep because it gives you good feedback when you push a button. By the way, you use the two arrow keys to navigate. LCD brightness, that's the screen. It's on maximum brightness, which is where you want it if you're outdoors on a sunny day. The LCD off, if you play with this and then set it down and walk away, the screen will turn off after a minute to save your battery. The remote control is enabled, and I will get to that. By ignore I mean don't change it. LED indicator, that's this thing. You can turn it off. I like it on because you can tell at a glance from a distance if what function the camera's in and if the camera's operating or not. Digital zoom sucks, leave it off. Camera off, the camera will not turn itself off, but you can set it to turn off completely after 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 5 minutes of inactivity. This one you will want to play with to suit your needs. To change any of these settings, by the way, it's arrow keys, and then you push this button here. Ignore date and time. Date and time stamp, you can turn it on and off. Leave language as English. Don't worry about that. Actually, come to think of it, do worry about this. I have my settings saved in C. If you push this button, you'll see that you can choose A, B, or C. This lets you set the camera up one way and then save it. Set the camera up a different way, save that in a different spot. So you can have 3 different settings that you can recall very easily. For example, if I wanted to recall my C settings, which is what they are now, I would just simply push the on-off button and pick C. Sorry, I just saved the settings to C. one down lower, this is where you choose which saved settings you want back in operation. For example, now I'm going to load C. So you can have up to 3 different saved settings that you can load very quickly this way. Reset settings, that sets it back to factory. Format memory card. This is a nice fast way to clear out all the stuff that you've previously recorded. Just simply push the button, arrow to the check mark, push the same on-off button again, and by the way, it boots you right out of there. The last setting that was in there, the firmware version, I have tried to update the firmware a number of times. It tells me I've succeeded, but this number never changes. It's something I've been meaning to look into. And then to get out, you push this button. This button pulls you back out. The same button that gets you in one level pulls you back out.